Okay guys, we're back. In the first part of this tutorial we looked at how does a ribbon rig work and what can we use it for. In the next tutorial I will show you how to set up the joints and the controllers for this rig. So this is what we saw in the first video, so I'm just going to hide that. I'm going to show the grid and we're going to make the most awesome thing in the world, joints. So I have a shortcut here for joints. You can also just go to skeleton, joint tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 9 joints, and I suggest you do the same. I'm going to snap them to the grid by holding X down. So I'm holding X now and I'm pressing on the grid. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there we go. So basically I want all these joints to have the same distance between each other, and I want the orientation to be the same. So how can I do that? Well, I'm going to select the first joints, and then I'm going to check in the attribute editor if the orientation is 0, 0, 0, and it's not. So in the last, or in Y, I'm going to press 0 as well. And that was the attribute editor that I did that in. So I'm just going to check the rest of the joints, and it looks like they all have 0 except the last one. So I'm going to put 0 in this one as well. And then I'm basically going to select all the joints. And then I'm going to make this translate, I think, 3. So you can see this makes a bigger distance between all of them. I'm going to make this snap to 0 again. I'm going to switch to rotate. You can do that out here or pressing E on the keyboard. And I'm just going to hold down J because I want it to be straight up into the air. And you can see now it has a rotation out here. We actually want that to be 0. So I'm just going to copy this 90 degrees and I'm going to put a 0. And then I'm going to go into the attribute editor. And in joint orientation I'm going to put 90, oops, that was the wrong one. I think it's the Z-axis, yes, 90 in the Z-axis. And that makes our joints. Now these joints are what we're going to use for the system underlaying it all. So it's not going to be the joints that control the surface. It's kind of hard to explain, but I hope you will bear with me. So the first joint, I'm going to call it spine 01 joint. No, actually I'm going to have 01 in the end, so I'm just going to call it spine joint 01. And then I'm going to copy this to the next joint and call it joint 2, and so on. And naming convention is very important when you're rigging, because you don't want two things to have the same name, and if you're scripting something it's really important that it has a unique name. So there you go, that's the joints. So now I'm going to make the joints that controls our rig, and for that I only need 3. So I'm going to select the joint tool again. And now I'm going to hold V down, and I'm going to go down to the button. Oops. Yes, that was not what I wanted. I'm just going to make a joint on the grid, so I'm going to hold X. There you go. And this joint is going to be called control joint 01. And I'm going to duplicate this by pressing Ctrl D 3 times. So no, this is a bit confusing, but for now just bear with me. So by holding V, I'm going to use the middle mouse button to drag this to the top of the food chain or the joint chain. And for this one it's called 0, joint 0, so I want that in the button. If it's 2, I want it in the middle. So I'm just going to drag it by holding the middle mouse button again, and then I'm going to take the middle one And because we have 9 joints, I know that I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. So I want 3 in between and then the joint, and 3 up in the top. That's why we chose 9 joints. So 1, 2, 3, and then in the middle, and then we had 3 in the top, on the top as well. So everything is looking good. So all we need in this video is actually to create the controllers, and then we can move on to the fun part. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what we did, because it might seem confusing, so I'm going to try to explain it in a better way. If you go to create NURBS primitives, you can here create a circle. And I'm going to create a circle about yay big. I'm going to hold V, middle mouse button, to the joint, so it now snaps to the joint and it's zeroed out in the translate. I'm going to call this control start weapon. Yes. And I'm going to duplicate this, hold down V to snap, middle mouse up here, and then this is going to be called end. I'm going to do it once more, but for the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to scale this body a little bit down. So this is going to be called the middle. And just for naming convention, this should actually be called str start, probably. So these are now the joints of the controllers that we want, and right now they do nothing. So if we go to our outliner, we can see we have the spine joints. These spine joints are going to deform our character mesh. And these control joints that we made, the 3 joints here, those are going to control a mesh we're going to make that deforms and kind of shows us the way that our weapon rig should work. And the controllers are going to control these joints. So if you don't quite understand it yet, don't worry, we will go more into it in the next episode or part, where we're going to make the mesh and make the weapon work actually. So that's it for the second part. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next part.